Hi everyone and welcome. My name is Michelle. I'm a certified holistic nutritionist specializing in emotional eating. And today I wanted to share a client spotlight. So if you've ever felt trapped in your emotional eating, like nothing's working, doesn't matter what you do, this is going to be really helpful to see how you can go from daily emotional eating, binging, to resolving this pattern. So if you've ever felt like you were trapped with emotional eating, obsessive food thoughts, constant dieting, just trying everything you could get your hands on to resolve your emotional eating, then today is going to be really inspirational for you. So I'm going to be sharing my client Kelly's story, how she went from daily binging to resolving her emotional eating and feeling at ease and confident in her body and around food. And I'm going to show you exactly how we got there using the Emotional Eating Evolution Program framework. So when Kelly first came to me, she was really stuck in daily binging. And this daily binging had been happening consistently for about a year and a half. So if I share a bit more, Kelly had been in therapy for the last 3 years before she started working with me. And for the last year and a half of that journey in therapy, she was still binging daily. She had tried Weight Watchers in the past, and she actually reached her goal weight, but it was built on a foundation of sand. After she reached that goal weight, she just went back into her old habit. She couldn't sustain that weight loss. And when she came to see me, she was really being pressured by family to go on weight loss medication, to go on Ozempic. And she just knew deep down there had to be a different way, that she didn't want to be on prescriptions for the rest of her life. She really wanted to get to the root of this and resolve it. And so funnily enough, a therapist recommended my program to her, not her therapist, but a therapist that another family member was seeing recommended my program to her. And so Kelly got in touch, we had a clarity call, and she decided to join the program. So if what I'm sharing about Kelly sounds familiar, you've tried the diets, maybe you've reached your goal weight, but you can't sustain it, you have been going to therapy, you're thinking about weight loss medication, and you just feel like you can't stay in the cycle of shame and emotional eating, and you feel really trapped and stuck, this is going to be really helpful for you to see how we got Kelly to the other side. So in the Emotional Eating Evolution Program, we work through 3 main areas, and we work through true nourishment, body acceptance, and emotional wellness. And I'm going to walk you through how we use this to help Kelly start shifting out of her emotional eating. For Kelly in particular, she actually had a lot of digestive issues, and I see this with a lot of emotional eating clients. She had IBS, and so we take that all into consideration inside of the program. We do a whole health assessment to see your whole health history, because this does play a factor into it, and you do need support around digestion in order to resolve this pattern. That's what I've seen with clients as we connect back to your body. So in True Nourishment, we're looking at that whole health history, but we're also learning to discern true from emotional hunger. So Kelly, she was doing this daily binging. We were able to help her start nourishing herself so that we could really see when she was emotionally hungry versus truly hungry. And we started to find her triggers. And one of her triggers when she would binge would be in the evening when her partner would leave for work. So as she was nourishing herself, as she was incorporating the recommendations around nourishment, so I give clients holistic strategies around food to help them start connecting back to their body, to see how food feels in their body, that they're really satisfying their hunger. And it's about learning this so that you can really see where you're emotionally triggered and going to food. And as we were doing this, we found also her emotional trigger as her partner would leave for work. And so this in and of itself helped Kelly to start feeling more ease in her body. It helped with her IBS to have more regular bowel movements, but the other things we added in the program helped her to regulate that as well. So her digestion was improving. And this was within the first few weeks of the program. I also give specific supplements to help support digestion, because as an emotional eater, our digestion tends to be impacted because we're eating when we're not actually hungry. And so this starts damaging our digestive tract, plus our nervous system is more in fight or flight, which impacts digestion as well. So we started adding in this true nourishment layer, started to find those triggers. And for Kelly, another trigger that started to come up as we were working through the second key in the program, which is around body acceptance, is that it was getting close to Thanksgiving and the holidays. And even before then, her family would make a lot of comments about her body. So she had a lot of body shame, and she had gained a lot of weight, but she was emotionally eating, and she was just stuck in this cycle. And we had to start letting her connect back to her body and what her body needed, the rhythms of her body, and to start looking at that body shame that would be triggered and then make her go to food. So especially around the holidays, another trigger that came up was that a lot of family members felt they could freely comment on her body. She would feel a lot of shame. And as you know, at Thanksgiving, there's lots of food. There's lots of opportunity to emotionally eat, to use food to soothe yourself. And so we started working on that trigger as well, as we were working on body acceptance and really getting back to that internal place of this is where you're at, and starting to neutralize that critical voice around her body and looking at the deeper triggers. So she had deeper trauma around her body that we started looking at. And so these triggers that I'm talking about, they go deeper in the body. They're sort of creating that loop to emotionally eat. And so the third phase of the program is all around emotional wellness, where we take those triggers and we start getting into the root of them. And when they are not something we can just decide, oh, I love my body, when it's deeper than that, we have to do the deeper work in the body, which is getting into the deeper wound, the trauma, and resolving it in a way that you can now meet your true emotional needs. And so our emotions live in our body. When we're triggered, there's a certain emotion, shame or discomfort is coming up, and we never learned how to actually be with that. So based on Kelly's history and just the type of family she came from, there was no emotional attunement. There wasn't, a lot of, she wasn't taught how to regulate herself and move through these emotions. Yes, she had gone to therapy and all of that, but it was just more about talking about it. And so like Kelly said, within the first few weeks of the program, she started to connect the dots of why she was triggered into her emotional eating, because we were doing this deeper work. We would take those triggers, and through I use somatic meditations with psychotherapy tools, we get deeper into the body to the root of what created this pattern, and we start meeting our deeper needs there. We start processing the emotions, moving through them, meeting those deeper emotional needs that we have. And when we do that, food can no longer fill that void. So we've been using food to kind of give us that soothing and comfort, and it can no longer do that. And for Kelly in particular, one of those triggers was that when her partner would leave, she would also end up calling her mom to get takeout and have wine. And her mom wasn't the most supportive, was very critical of her. So she was almost just in this toxic cycle of she wasn't feeling good and she needed company, but she didn't pick like the right company. And so that, she was already feeling like maybe abandoned. She was already feeling, some distress from her partner leaving, and then reaching out to a source that wasn't helpful. And we started doing the deeper work where she could meet her deeper emotional needs, not reach out to someone toxic, and not reach out to, something that's not going to be helpful to her, to have more boundaries. And so we were able to meet that deeper emotional need, which went back to childhood. And then from that, Kelly was able to start regulating herself, to start being at home and doing things to care and nourish her body, instead of putting herself in an environment where she was already feeling bad, using food to soothe, and just getting re-triggered by being with someone who was more critical. And so she was able to stop doing the takeout and the wine, and start just meeting those needs. And we did this with one-to-one sessions. So I do these somatic meditation sessions with clients to guide them through the process, to co-regulate with them, and to teach them how to do this. But they also have recorded meditations that they practice this. This is a practice. This is something we need to do, because if we weren't taught this as a child and guided through this, we don't have this skill, and we need to learn it. And it's something we would have needed at a younger age. And so Kelly started doing that. We also did that with her body acceptance when she'd be triggered into body shame at Thanksgiving. So we started working on that trigger before Thanksgiving, and then she had the meditations to do it before she went out to a meal or a family gathering. And it's not like in that moment you're at a family get together, you can, call me up. So it's great to have those meditations, to do that practice, to start learning that yourself. And by the end of the program, Kelly just kind of knew it intuitively. She integrated it and she could use the process and the meditations whenever she got triggered. So there was another situation that would have derailed her. She was out to go and do a workout and her water bottle fell and she forgot something and she just like, screw it. That's what she would have said in the past. But she was quickly able to move through the trigger, to come back to calm and to move on with her day, and not be triggered into a spiral of shame that would ruin her day and probably trigger more emotional eating. And so Kelly started to really stop the binging a few weeks into the program. Her IBS improved a lot. She had regular bowel movements. Something really clicked in her body. And that's what I see with a lot of clients with digestive issues. And she started to actually not rely on alcohol. She had stopped emotional eating. She was stopping the alcohol. And by the end of the program, she actually saved enough. She actually saved the cost of the program. So it's almost like all the shifts and changes she made in the program paid off for itself. And I was in touch with Kelly, a few months after the program, about 8 months later, and she was still internally motivated. She felt like these were the tools, she said this in her testimonial, for life. She was able to keep moving forward. And something cool that happened with Kelly was that at work, she would be given extra work and she would say no, but no one really took her seriously. And as she was going through this process, as she was having boundaries, as she was not relying on food to soothe, she started to speak up for herself. And she said there was a moment at work where someone would always ask her to do work and somehow it would end up on her desk. And she just spoke up, and it was like this voice came from her that she didn't even know who this other person was. It's like something took over her because she was more embodied. She was more confident. And because she could see the program was working, she knew this was her path forward. And, when I checked in with her, like I said, after the 8 months, she was still internally motivated. She said she didn't have an emotional eating episode. Every few months, she might get an urge, but she has the tools in the program. She started to lose weight. So she had had an unhealthy amount of weight on her body that impacted her breathing and her heart rate. And so she was working towards that. And she had lost 30 pounds after 8 months, and she was continuing that. And I'm going to say, I don't talk about weight loss in the program because sometimes we're just needing to get to a calm space where our body is releasing inflammation. It is starting to get into that more calm and ease. Because when we do this deeper work, we're shifting the nervous system from being in this agitated fight or flight state that we then use food to soothe, that doesn't really calm our system. And in this state, we are holding on to weight, we'll have digestive issues, poor mood, our immunity will be lower, we'll not have great self-esteem. And when we start shifting it to more calm and ease, that naturally creates more confidence, ease, peace. Our body literally moves into that space, better digestion, better mood. And this is what Kelly was shifting into. And all of the tools she learned were just sort of amplifying that as she moved through her own life beyond the program. And so it was so amazing to see this shift in Kelly. She took all the tools, she really showed up to all of the sessions and started implementing the program. And she has ongoing access to the methodology. So she has those tools ongoing. And so by combining all of these different aspects, the true nourishment, the body acceptance, and the emotional wellness, Kelly was able to shift her pattern and create this sustainable change for herself. And she felt really empowered. So when Kelly started the program, she was binging daily. She didn't feel really confident. She was sort of at this rock bottom. As she moved through the program, she was feeling confident around food and in her body. There's no restriction in the program. Your body starts speaking to you. And when I spoke to her, she was on her way to getting married. She felt more confident and at ease in her life. And she was going after the things that she really wanted, because when she started the program, she just felt she couldn't take those steps in her life. She didn't feel confident enough to move to the next stages of her life, like getting married, buying a house, all of these things. And she started to create that internally. So if you've ever felt stuck like Kelly did, I just want you to know that there is a solution out there, that you can get unstuck. You can start shifting your emotional eating and resolving it from the root and getting to ease and confidence around food and in your body. And so I help ambitious women like Kelly do this. And if you're ready for that support and you want to find out how we can work together, I encourage you to find out more about the Emotional Eating Evolution Program. This is my 12-week container with a step-by-step process, the weekly office hours, one-to-one sessions, and deeper tools to help you get to that ease and confidence around food and in your body in a sustainable way. And if you're interested in that, you can find out more at the link below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope Kelly's story inspires you and gives you hope that there is a way to the other side. You can feel at ease around food and in your body. It doesn't have to take over your life, and you can start going after what you really value and to start living your life in a way that is not held back by these obsessive food thoughts or these daily binges, that you can actually get to where you want to go. And so if you like this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. I look forward to sharing more with you, and I hope you have